Bobby Moore and Sir Jeff Hurst, the Trevor Brooking and Billy Bonds, Paolo Di Canio, West Ham United. We celebrate our victories, we stick together in defeat. Proud of our history, West Ham United, more than just a podcast, more than just a podcast.
Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning. This is more than just a podcast.
Podcast. Come and get you ever changing podcast.
It is season 13, 13 years, and it is episode 20. Already. The Booches are not here. They're in Butlins, having a time of their life in Butlins.
The bastards.
And obviously Nigel's still in Weymouth, but we've got Lenny Boy here. Canning Town Len,
I'm here.
where are you and what are you doing?
I'm in the studio. I forgot to put the heating on, and I'm coughing really, so I'll be hitting the mute button quite a bit.
Oh right, okay.
So we'll see how well I do.
Okay. Well, just so you didn't hear us two, we've invited a special presenter. You know him as Crazy Nick, Conspiracy Theory Nick, or Anti-Moyes Agenda Nick. It's Nick Killington from Claret and Booze.
Hello, everyone. You all right?
Yeah, I'm legally obliged to ask you, where are you? What are you doing?
Me, I'm not as cold as Len. My bottom half are okay. I'm in my loft office, but it's uninsulated. It is quite cold up here, so I've got a nice electric heater pressed against my legs as we speak.
Oh, what an image for our listeners.
Yes.
Do you listen to this podcast? Do you know?
I do.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
He references it.
You're
What you're saying, you don't listen to him.
I generally take clips of you and take the piss out of you on it. Sean.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I love that.
Times, yeah.
No, it's no disrespect, as you know. I don't actually do YouTube, so
I know.
I don't listen. Occasionally, I do, but only just to wind up people I know that are on. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
No names intended. Or occasionally you ring me up to go on your show and then go, "Oh, you've just rung in, Sean." And I go, "Oh yes, I've just rung in." Who is this speaking? It's Nick from Blackburn. Oh yes, I've just rung into your phone-in show. Do you know what? That's how they all do it.
That was the last time you phoned in, Sean. Sorry, was when you gave me the exclusive that Harry Maguire was signing.
Yeah, don't listen to shit.
He's reliable.
Yeah, reliable. Yeah. Anyway, welcome, Nick. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
We've got some football to talk about.
Well, you say that.
We've got two games. The first one is I'm going to take you back to last Thursday, actually, in Serbia, and talk about a riveting game we had against TSC Topola Baka. Have I said that right?
Think so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, Nick, did you go? Did you watch it? We have to ask, did you watch it? Because sometimes on the podcast, people go, nah, couldn't be asked.
I did watch it, yeah. But there wasn't really much to it. I mean, the game started in the 89th minute, didn't it? I mean, that was pretty much it. It was a dreadful performance. It was awful. One of the worst games. After watching Burnley, I thought it can't get much worse than that. And then enter TSC, and it was shocking, absolutely shocking performance. And I know that was kind of the fourth game. That was a fourth win on a spin, wasn't it? Did that mark the fourth?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Thomas Souček to the rescue in the 89th minute. I mean, it was probably a bit unfair to say it only started on the 89th minute. I would say, we got going maybe on the 80th minute.
Maybe.
Would that be unfair? The last 10 minutes, we were a bit lucky. Let's be honest. Shall I give you a stat attack?
Go on.
West Ham had 58% possession to their 42 at home. We had 7 shots, 3 of them on target, young Nick, to their 9 shots.
Yeah.
And 3 on target. We had 8 corners, 8 to their 1. And we committed 17 fouls to their 11. Dirty West Ham. What went wrong, Nick?
The
What
game
went
by
wrong?
numbers. Well, what went wrong? What went right? I don't know anymore. I really don't. I mean, like, as you all know, anyone that watches the channel like Sean doesn't. We're very much. It's not so much I'm anti Moyes. I'm
Oh,
pro.
come on, really?
I'm pro entertainment.
Oh,
Which
right.
means
Right.
Which means you're anti-Moyes.
which means that by
No,
default I'm
right.
anti Moyes.
We call a spade here, right? You're anti-Moyes.
It's so difficult though to watch this, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
getting
but
it's
just
getting
be
it's getting
free.
harder
Just be
and
free.
harder.
Go. I don't like David Moyes.
Well, no, everyone.
Don't
I
hide
don't.
behind it, Nick. Just
Yeah,
go. I
but
don't like Moyes.
what I won't do when David Moyes is gone, I didn't like Sam Allardyce and I didn't like Kirbishley really because of the football. once they was gone, they was gone. It's not personal. I hate the style of football. I don't like pragmatic football. I don't, particularly for my club.
David Moyes.
Sorry.
If you met David Moyes while shopping at, I don't know, Lidl or Iceland, right?
Yes.
Would you shake his hand?
I wouldn't go out of my way to shake his hand. No, but then again, I'm not rude. I
Would
probably would if he
you-
put his hand out.
Would you
It'd be
take a
very
selfie?
it'd be a very firm handshake. It would. Be a
Would,
very firm-
would you do a selfie with him?
No, not a chance.
Would you tell him what you think of him?
I
Would
wouldn't
you introduce yourself? Do you think he knows you, Sean? Do you
Oh,
know?
I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't abuse him, like shout at him down the street. But if I got into if I got into a conversation with him, then I would tell him what I thought. Absolutely, yes,
Nick,
100%.
I've told you this off air,
Go on.
and I told you this last week. He knows who you are.
Does he? Good.
He does. He does.
Does he?
The
Does he?
cunt!
Does he like the donkey? Is he quite
I
fond of
don't
it?
know. All I know is the players and the coaches and the club know what's going on social media, and some of it is briefed, and some of it they go out their way. You know, Sam Allardyce went out his way, and his wife told him off. He used to read KBB forums that were slagging him off.
Oh, really?
And he saw the forums. He read articles that I wrote on Claret and Hugh. You know, Sam Allardyce took it all to heart and was very au fait with what was going on social media.
Oh.
I
Imagine Sam sitting there comfort eating.
Yeah.
Because something Nigel said to him.
There's your Ruddy Bubbles.
Yeah. with a tub of ice cream in front of him and a scoop, not a spoon.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think David Moyes spends his time on Twitter or Facebook
No,
or
I doubt
YouTube.
it. I
But
doubt it.
I'm told you, Nick, and Claret Booze have reached the club's attention.
We've ruffled a few feathers.
I don't know about ruffled a few feathers, but reached the club's attention. There's maybe one raised eyebrow, Nick.
Yeah, that's fine. That's better than no raised eyebrows.
Yes,
Well,
but
it's
if-
Brady out there, and I don't think she can move her fucking face.
Imagine
I
a bit
know.
like if you remember Roger Moore, right? One
Yeah.
eyebrow just raising on its
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
independently on its own.
Yeah.
In,
Look, but
in-
at the end of the day, I mean, if anything, that's
that's a
it's not-
compliment, isn't it?
It's not no, but it's not a compliment. Look, at the end of the day, I think if you look at the channel and the traction that we get, you know, with viewers, I mean, you've only got to go back and look at the show that we did last night. If they were to read, even if you're not listening to me, or you're not listening to what we're saying, just listen to the people that phone in. Look at the comments that you're getting. You know, there is a lot of strong feeling around this at the moment.
Controversy sells. You know
it-
this, Nick. You're not stupid. Controversy sells, right? And I told you this before, right?
Controversy, yeah, but the thing is,
Controversy,
if
yeah.
it's controversial to hate this style of football, I think it's more controversial to not be happy and say nothing.
Yeah. I
be
told
honest.
you last week, and look, I know there's no point in telling Len this, but because I know he knows it, right? In the old days, and Huey taught me this when I was writing for Claret and Hugh, we'd write a story report that we knew was absolutely bollocks. You know, it would be some fanciful that we're going to sign Ronaldo or something, right? And we would put the word report.
Why would
report,
you do that?
You know, so we put report Ronaldo to sign, right? And then we'd write it going, it has been reported, it is unsubstantiated, and just put all these kind of disclaimers in, right? That would get, I don't know, 20,000 reads, right? Then you'd write, about an hour later, you'd write a denial. You'd talk to the club afterwards and go, what about this? We're going to sign Ronaldo. And they go, it's complete made up bollocks,
Oh, my
right?
goodness, yeah.
We'd then print an exclusive, word exclusive on the headline. Exclusive. Ronaldo's story is made up bollocks. 500 people would read it. People don't want to read the truth. They want controversy. They want drama. They want, coming back to you, entertainment, Nick.
It's well, look,
And that's what you are. You're an
It's
entertainer.
it's entertainment, but it's something we've never done. We've never lied. I would never do that. I would never. I'm not saying we always get it right. We don't. But we would never ever go out to peddle a story that we knew was wrong.
Yeah, but there are
That's
plenty
just
of
wrong.
them out there. Football Insider for one.
Well, yeah. Well,
There
yeah.
are
Yeah.
there are people that get paid for exclusives where you read these transfer stories, and I do say often transfer windows a bit like an entertainment business.
It's becoming less of an entertainment business at West Ham.
Giving people what they want. We can link with 100
Yeah.
players. Anyway, we digress. Back to the game. Where were we? We were. He started with. I think it was a 4-3-3. Fabianski in goal. Johnson, Dinos, Aguirre, Cresswell at the back. Ward-Prowse, Souček, and Paquetá in the middle. Fornells, Mbama, and Benrahma. Look, everyone's been calling, including Unic, to start Mbama. So, it was the right. It was the right squad for a midweek game, wasn't it?
I was pleased, to be honest, when I saw the lineup. But then you see, if you look at the strikers that have failed, we'll look at the one that failed this weekend, Bowen. If you look at the strikers that have failed, Haller, Skamaka, Danny Ings, who scored everywhere else apart from here. Now he's finished apparently. Antonio ain't scored for ages. Now Mbama, then Bowen. People are criticising Mbama now, and they're backing up David Moyes' decision to not use him, and they're saying, well, look at him. He didn't do anything. He tried to emulate Antonio. He tried to do the one-man press. He tried to run from deep, run aimlessly.
Who? Mbama did.
Mbama. He was chasing. He was working hard, and it's fruitless. That podcast that Antonio rightly got chastised for because of the timing of it before the final, with what he said in that podcast, where he said the strikers in this club have to feed off scraps. He was 100% right. I don't know who I would dislike enough to put in that forward position. It's a horrible position to play, and I don't think Mbama had a chance, and he couldn't wait to hook him off. And when Danny Ings came on, wasn't any better, was he? I know. He wasn't any better. What did Danny Ings do?
We came on. It's funny you should say that. So his first substitutions were on 67 minutes.
Yeah.
Ings and Cornet for Mbama and Benrahma, and obviously they did nothing. And then he took off Johnson. And put on Karen 79, and took off Cresswell and put on Emerson on 79. So,
Cornet, it was lovely. It was really good to see Cornet. I've got to be honest. I think he looked good, didn't he?
I thought so.
Well, for the 11 minutes he was on the pitch.
Well, he did. He looked good. He was running at the defence. It was a wonderful cross he put in, wasn't it? For Souček. Really was.
No, you're right.
But not enough to earn him 2 minutes at the weekend, though, that we're going to go on to talk about.
No. So, look, as has happened, our blushes, the players' blushes and the manager's blushes were saved by Souček.
You called it, Sean.
What?
You said that would happen in the
WhatsApp
WhatsApp
I did, didn't
group.
I? I did in the WhatsApp group. I'd said, you watch, we're going to score in the last 10 minutes. I don't know if I said Souček, but he did.
Right.
John was going, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen. I went,
He
really?
was right.
He's right. It was
I
awful.
said, you said that last week. And Souček to the rescue. 3 points, top of the group. Job done. It's a results business, Nick. Results business.
Is it? Can I ask you something?
Yeah, it is.
Sean, is this any more unentertaining than if you just look at the last 4 games? Focus on the last 3. So say Burnley and TSC. Is that worse than what we was watching under Sam Allardyce? Is it worse?
Do you know what? I'm going to be a bit controversial myself, right? I don't go to football for the tippy-tappy football. I go for the overall atmosphere. And do you know what? We're getting to the next game. I was entertained on Sunday. And, there was a bit of drama. And I don't subscribe to this ticky-tacky West Ham way entertaining football. We didn't sign up. I, a West Ham fan, didn't sign up thinking that I was going to watch, that part of the deal of being a West Ham fan was to watch attractive football. So I'll take
Oh,
it out
well.
as it comes. I really do.
What about
Wow.
yourself, Len? On that,
I
how do you
think
feel about it?
I think it's less entertaining than Allardyce, and
do.
I can say that now. I'm not going to get
Oh,
my head bitten off.
because you got your mate on. You got your mate on.
Yeah,
got
well,
my
I ain't got
mate.
Nigel here to tell us otherwise.
You're getting up on Sean.
No, I don't know why it is, but it's just. Listen, I'm not much of a football tactician, really, but
No.
I've worked this out. And if I can work it out, and I know it's going to happen, and consequently it does happen, then how is it good, really? I'm not saying... I think we got enough to sort of beat, the teams that we're supposed to beat, and consequently Moyes Ball does that, but no, I'm not happy with it. Put it this way, right? I couldn't... On the weekend just gone, I knew I was going to miss meeting up for a pre-match drink, so I didn't fucking bother going. So I just didn't want to go and watch Moyes Ball, and that's what we got.
I know. You're hearing it more and more. And we asked the question yesterday. We said, one of the quotes David Moyes has said before, he said, look, West Ham are flaky. We're not flaky old West Ham anymore. What he means by that is we win the games that we should win. And if we go and beat Sheffield United, we'll beat Burnley, we'll beat Bournemouth. And that's fine. So you can guarantee in the fixture list, we'll go and we'll get the 3 points in those games. But beyond that, then if you look over the trend of the last 2 years, that's not the case. So what would you prefer? Because for me, I hate the predictability in football. I would rather have a situation whereby West Ham were always the type of team where you could lose the teams that you lose the games that you should win, and then you go and win some of the games that you shouldn't. It was kind of a bit basket casey. It was more invested. It was more chaotic.
Yeah.
And you just don't have everything's just so beige.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And
really
I think when it comes to the Premier League, I think we should just be a little bit more gung-ho because of the situation that we're in this year.
Yeah.
That really there's a bit of crap in it. We may as well be a little bit more ambitious because Moyes is going to lose his job otherwise, and I don't really see what he's doing about that.
He's never. We're never going to get relegated this year. We could lose the next
No, of course
8,
not.
and we won't be in a relegation zone. I'm certain of it. So you're right. I don't know why he wouldn't just kind of unleash the players a little bit earlier, like he does late in games that we're seeing. The last 10 minutes are fine, aren't they?
Yeah.
We seem to be going. For
Cross
the game
is
a little
going
bit.
in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Until then, we just keep our shape. Maybe put a long diagonal from Aguerd. He's work it out. It's just...
Oi, you miserable bastards. We're top of our group in Europa League. We
Yeah,
could
we're
go
pleased.
on and qualify for the Champions League. He's
No,
already the most successful
you're
manager
a
in
long
the
way
history
off.
of West
Here we
Ham,
go.
with the biggest win rate, with the most points per game, right? This guy could qualify for the fourth season in Europe in the fucking Champions League, boys. And you'd still be going, well, it's still fucking Moyes Ball. I still don't enjoy watching it, right?
No, I
Come
wouldn't be
on,
saying
guys.
that because
Come
if
on,
we
guys.
do get in the Champions League, right, he'll get an extension
Yeah.
and we'll have better players to play Moyes Ball.
I just don't think there are. I think we've seen a rapid decline of football because when he first came in, he was working with. I've worked it all out. Sean.
Go on.
He's basically working with other people's players when he first came in. He also had COVID, so when he came in for the second time,
He had
for the
COVID?
second part. No, we had COVID. So,
Oh, right, okay.
So for the second part of that season was just as bad as the first. We accrued one more point than what Pellegrini did in the first 19 games. Then the second season starts, which was his most successful, if you like, and COVID hit, and I do think, and this isn't a criticism of West Ham fans because I think David Moyes' football, his style of football, will never yield a good atmosphere in that stadium. Not consistently, it won't. It's a terrible atmosphere in there. And you know what? I think that COVID, having no fans, affected other clubs more than it affected West Ham. So they lost their home advantage. And I think that suited David Moyes. He was working with other people's players. What we're seeing now, the more money he spends and the better our team looks on paper, the worse the football is getting because he's building a team in his own dour image. That's why. That's what I think. So I think
Good
it's
conspiracy. Good story, bro.
I think it's a downward spiral.
story,
I
bro.
think it is.
Good
I think
conspiracy theory.
You could throw 200-300 more million at him. We wouldn't be playing prettier football. He's too cautious. Too cautious.
Your irrational
Very
hatred
cautious.
of David Moyes is commendable.
It's entirely rational. It's entirely rational.
Says you. The great thing about crazy people is they don't know they're crazy. I've mentioned this before. Crazy people don't know. They just go. They wake up and go. I've got no idea how crazy I've become.
But the thing is, Sean, you speak on behalf of the board, so you're very much.
I'm not an official spokesman.
Yeah, but
I'm not an
you're
official
you're an
spokesman.
unofficial spokesman. So you do kind of fly the flag for them. So you're saying the things that they want to hear, which is what they want the fans to be happy with what they're being served up. That's what they want. But the fact of the matter is, the fans are not. And if they're taking notice of social media channels, if they're looking at forums. Very, very few of them now. The majority of them, you struggle to run a poll now. I ran a poll on. I like running polls, same as you do. But I ran a poll after the game yesterday, and I said, if you could click your fingers, bang, and David Moyes is gone tomorrow.
I know. I voted.
Right. And would you vote if he's gone? And
I voted too.
79% voted yes. I want him gone.
Which way did I vote, Nick?
Well, you would have secretly voted out because you really don't like him, but you can't say that.
Yeah, that's what I think you did.
I
voted out.
I didn't.
I voted out. Life's too short not to vote out. Nothing matters
I just
anyway.
don't know who I'd replace him with at the moment.
I don't care. We got trust in Timmy. I keep telling you.
We're getting off the point of and we will come on back to Moyes. But as I said last week or the week before, my personal position. Yes, I'm frustrated with him. I was frustrated with him on the game we're about to move into. But you know what? If he wins a cup or gets us into Europe, so for me, if he wins the League Cup, right, we're in the quarterfinals. I know we're against Liverpool. If we win the FA Cup, I know we're playing Bristol at home.
That's
right?
a bigger if.
If we finish 7th or above, or if we win the Europa League, right, 4 chances.
7th or above.
7th or above.
Are you watching the football at the moment, Sean?
Watching football?
Are you
watching?
No, watching ours. It's the worst brand in the league.
Are you watching the football at the moment? Honestly, we've scraped our last 4 wins.
I get that.
Luck doesn't last forever.
He's
been lucky.
But sometimes, it's not all about football. It's
well,
about doner kebabs getting onto the footy screen.
Oh, it's about doing stuff on your phone.
But explain the empty seats that we're seeing more and more of.
Actually, if we're talking about, we will go back to find out about the game unless. Do you have anything to say about the Europa game, Len? Before we
no, absolutely not. Let's move on because there's nothing to talk about.
If we talk about the Premier League game, there was a train strike. I struggled to get there yesterday, if I'm honest with you, and I know number of tickets sold 62,457 or 59. So all the tickets were sold. So the West Ham still get their money, but it was a struggle. It's the beginning of train strikes. Half of my trains were cancelled from Surrey. The trains were absolutely packed. The Jubilee was absolutely packed because lack of trains meant, it was a struggle. It was wet and it was raining. Even the enticement of an El Toro free scarf couldn't get me there early. And I know there were ticket problems as well, which I think Len will tell you about. But, I did struggle to get there yesterday. And I think a lot of people just saw train strikes. Palace, I can't be asked.
It's not worth the effort.
It's not worth the effort.
Yeah.
I mean,
not for Moyes ball. That's literally what I said.
I'm going to throw John under a bus, which I don't like doing because he's my best mate. But
you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it anyway. He bought a season ticket, right?
He's had enough already.
He got lucky getting a season ticket.
Really lucky.
I helped him get lucky. How many Premier League games do you think he's been to so far? How many Premier League games have we had this season, Nick?
What we on match? We're on is it 13? I'll get confused with my own kids' league. Hang on. What match? What are we up to now in terms of fixtures? Is it 13 or 14?
It's a good question.
Well, you're counting down.
Match day 14. So we've had how many home games have we had?
It's either 6
so
or
we've
7.
had Palace at home 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is good radio. This isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Normal standard.
What we had about 6 or 7.
Now, how many do you reckon he's been to with his new season ticket? 1.
No, he's been
One.
to 2.
No, 2. The other one was the Europa League, mate.
Hang on. I've been to the ABBA bar with him, and I've been to that Wankers bar with him. So that's twice.
Yeah, he hasn't. I'm pretty sure he's only been to one. I bumped into the mate that we also helped him get a ticket, and he said he's only
That's
been to
Sean's
one.
favourite bar, the Winkers bar.
The ABBA bar's bloody good, actually. It's much more entertaining than Moyes football. Anyway, anywho, let's talk about the game, right? Did you go, Nick?
What, on Thursday?
No, on Sunday.
Oh, on Sunday, yes, I went on Sunday, yes.
Yeah, and were your trains cocked up? And
I drive in, but I know of people that travel from all over, all different areas of London that all made it there. I know people from Germany that went to the game. I also know, because I don't have a season ticket, I haven't had for the last 2 years, and I've also got a network of about 8 to 10 people that have got groups of season tickets. That basically they're like John. They don't go to games anymore. And they just can't be bothered with it. And there's more and more. Gary, for the first time in his life,
Gary's got a season ticket, hasn't he?
Gary's got a season ticket,
Yeah.
but he goes literally religiously. And for the first time ever, even he went through it. He suffered Allardyce, but he said this is the first time where it gets to a match day, and I just can't be bothered. I can't be bothered.
So, Len, before we
great.
start talking about the football, let's hear your excuse.
Well, I was gonna, like I said, I done had to do some unexpected shopping for my mum, and which made me an hour late, which meant I was gonna miss meeting up with you lot, and you were also late, by the
I
way.
was late because of trains, yeah.
Yeah. So I just didn't fancy Moyes Ball and then going home.
I
So
thought it was another reason.
well, there was another reason because my phone went dead after the notification of the ticket come up.
Yeah.
So I had to go and reboot my phone, and there's a couple of
John
people that
said
said that.
his ticket updated at 4:30 for a
Did-
2:00 game.
I
showed
got
us
that as well. 4:28. It
Yeah.
updated again.
Yeah.
But was there an explanation to it? Because
No,
I
they just
heard
don't
also
update. I mean, there was no queues at the turnstile, so people were getting through all right. I don't know.
yeah, but they, it might have been something. I mean, for me going home that time anyway, I was like, well, I don't really care about the game too much anyway, under the circumstances, because it's shit. So that's what happened. But did the club say? Did you mention it to the club? Was anything? I know they won't
I
admit
haven't
anything.
mentioned it to the club.
That was
no.
the point. What's the point? We don't care. They don't care. So they'll never get spoke about again. But I think there was a couple of ticket problems I had, but no one really cares.
Do you know if you just went to football, Sean? You go for the whole thing. So you go for
Yeah.
the social life to meet your friends and have a kebab
Yeah, I
and all
do.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a large portion of fans that do go for the football. If you just went for the football, would you go for 90 minutes?
Do you know what?
Would you do it? Be honest.
It's a question of loyal. I'm quite a loyal person. I think it's a question of loyalty. Do I see it as a chore sometimes? Yes, I do.
You're loyal to the wrong people, though.
But I feel my loyalty is my job is to go and watch West Ham if I'm available. And I would say always have a good time with friends and in the bar and meeting old friends and doing social media stuff and everything else. It's a hard question to answer, but I feel obliged. Nick, I suppose, is the real answer. I feel obliged.
You're referencing it like it's a relationship.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
So if that is the case, and it's a one-way relationship, because you would expect West Ham to give you something back, wouldn't you? I mean, if you look at
it's a bit of a loveless marriage at the moment. Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean,
but I'm not going. I'm not going through divorce. I've been through that once already.
No, but I think there's an awful lot of people that are. This is a problem, and it's something that the club won't care about at the moment because the majority of those empty seats are all sold season tickets, so they won't care right now. But if that started to ever translate to season ticket sales towards the end of the season, which it would, I'm convinced if this football carries on, you'll have a lot of people that they'll be going, no more, not for me. You will. I know we've got a massive long waiting list. I know we have. We've got a really long waiting list for season tickets. But
Sean can help you with that.
I can get you through on that. Don't you worry.
No, I'm all right. Thanks.
No, he says he shows loyalty.
What did you do? Talk about we can get to the game in a minute. Talk about your routine because you're not a season ticket holder. I know you do go to quite a few games, pick and choose. Fair enough. What do you do? What is you say you drive? What's your routine? Are you meeting up with mates? Are you drinking? Are you eating? Or is it about the match day?
No, so Sundays I'm going over there purely for the football. So I manage my son's under-15s
Oh, I
football
remember,
team.
yeah.
For instance, this Sunday up at 6, walk the dogs till 9. Then I'm over Cuffley. I've got my son's football from between 10 and 1 o'clock. I then get my son. We're all cold and wet because we've been standing out in the cold. Threw him in the car, dashed down to Stratford, and then sat in the cold and wet in that stadium watching that. And within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even though we were 1-0 up, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why am I even here? Why?
Yeah.
It was dull. There was no
I
atmosphere.
do get you, Nick.
That's
I
the
do
worst.
get you.
That's
My,
the
my
worst.
son, I don't know if you know this, he plays
Go on.
for a Saturday and Sunday
Go on.
and team, Horsley Harriers and Horsley Bees. And when I told he was a right back and then right wing, he's now playing striker.
Okay.
Got a hat trick the other week.
Good lad.
But so he's getting a bit more confidence. But when we said, we're going to West Ham, going, well, where's your loyalty? Where's your loyalty to your under-17 team? It's all very serious. And you probably, I don't know if you listened to the podcast, we had a mass fight on the pitch when one under-17 opposition punched another one of ours, and it ended up with a sort of 11 by 11 scrap. And I had to get in front of two of the players, and someone said to me, "You get out of my way, Grandpa, or I'll knock you out." And I just started laughing.
Well, they're big lads in that.
They are
I'm getting
big
that-
lads
I'm-
when
we're,
they get
we're
to
getting
under
that. We're getting
17s.
that now in the under 15s. But I mean, bearing in mind your area, like out in Surrey, that's going to be quite a tame. It's quite
Yeah, it is.
gentrified.
Yeah, it is. It's quite. Well, this
nice.
is what made it even funnier. That
Yeah.
you got. I mean, it was all no. Apart from one black eye from the guy who got punched, the rest of it was all, a bit of handbags at dawn kind of thing. Had to make
Yeah.
a statement to the Surrey FA though. We'll take
We
it very
was-
seriously. Do you know what? Our player got red carded. £55 fine. Is that the norm
£55.
for under
It
17s?
is the norm. Yeah, it's the norm.
Anyway, we digress. But I do like Sunday League boys football.
Well, I'm the manager, but I've got to be honest with you. I get far more out of that than I do out of West Ham.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
moment
no,
when
I
it comes to
enjoy
watching.
watching.
I do.
Finley play on. Anyway, so for you, it's second priority after your sons because you're the manager.
Yeah.
But I do see that. If football's all you go for, then Sunday would have been disappointing.
Oof, massively.
But you know what? Where we sit next to the away fans, we have a little bit of banter, and we did have our banter. I've read somewhere online, and people go, "Oh yeah, they sing we're champions of Europe." You know what? The sound doesn't travel around the stadium, and I don't know where you sit and where you were on Sunday, but in our area, which is the old Chav corner that got moved into next to the away fans lower, we do have a little bit of a chant and sing song. Yes, it is quiet at times, but it's probably noisier than most other places, apart from Bobby Moore lower.
No, that's it. Yeah, that's probably the best place to be where you are, even though.
And we always stand, right? We don't sit.
Yeah.
Sitting is alien to me. Watching football. I think that would add to my boredom if I had to sit down. I don't know. Can't remember last time I sat down at football.
Yeah, I had lovely seats, Category 1 seats, right on the halfway line. Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice. I mean, it's
Very
quite,
nice.
you're quite close to the pitch as well. Yeah, no, it was fine. The view was lovely, but like I said, I had seats all around me, and there's people, there's people just kind of having conversations while the game's going on. Not even I can understand it. I was the same. I was talking to, and you can because you haven't even got to whisper in each other's ear. There was hardly any noise there at all. Not where I was sat anyway. Like you said, the acoustics in that place are a nightmare.
Yeah,
aren't they?
it's really weird. I can't even hear sometimes the other side of the away fans in Trevor Brook in Lower. You can see them clapping and like chanting, but you can't hear what they say. The acoustics just doesn't travel around that stadium.
No, sound just leaks out of it. It
Yeah.
does. And I think that's also why it's hard to get a song going in sync because it takes time
It is.
for the sound to travel.
I totally get you. So we'll come on to the stadium capacity story a bit later. But look, Nick, let's
Brilliant.
get back
just,
to the
just
football.
what we need more empty seats.
Yeah, well, the truth, right? We can tell the truth here. Nick, let's talk about the game because, I don't know, they're a bit of a bogey side. Palace, obviously, Kurt Zuma was missing from the lineup. We were worried about Kudus because he'd been ill. We didn't mention that, but obviously Kudus and Alvarez were missing because they had a virus, a winter virus, and so did Sufal actually. So 3 of them were missing midweek. We didn't know whether they'd start. All 3 were available and did start. And of course, Bowen, who had fluid on the knee, I did speculate quite a while, got lucky that he'd be back for Palace, and he was, because it was about 12 days for fluid on the knee. So, look, on paper, we had the best team starting, really, if you exclude Antonio. So where did it all go wrong? Because, there was enough players to the job, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think this comes back to football. If you look at, you can see that our team, and I honestly, it's almost like we're not coached, and I mean that as well. I mean that if you look at teams like Brighton, if you look at Aston Villa, if you look at the way that they play, the patterns of play, that is hard work, sweat and tears that go into the training ground. What we seem to do, Sean, is just get a collection of good players, throw them into a system. They all know their jobs. They know their position on a pitch. They know where they're supposed to stand. It's like human chess. They know what their defensive duties are. But when it comes to an offensive outlet, we've been doing it now for 2 or 3 games. You talk about, I mean, against Burnley, against TSC, I think it was. I think it was Aguirre played 23 long balls. Only 7 of them were successful. And what we're doing now, because Moyes knows we haven't really got a midfield because he's got 2 specialists in the middle with James Ward-Prowse and Souček, who are not good box-to-box midfielders. There ain't a good pivot either side of Alvarez. We haven't really got much of a midfield. They're good specialists at what they do, but that is a poor midfield. So what we're doing is we're bypassing our midfield. We're getting the ball out to Aguirre and we're launching the ball long. That is what we're doing now. It is literally long ball football.
Yeah.
Without a clear target, man.
Yeah, no,
That's what
I
we're
did
doing.
see that. But in spite of that, you got to have been impressed that one of those balls did come off. Who did it come from?
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse
Kudus won the ball.
To Sufal.
Yeah.
And Sufal crossed it in.
It was a beautiful goal.
Beautiful goal by Kudus, who's in my fancy team. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good player. He was a real positive from that game because he and half a good player.
And all right, they didn't really come into it. In that first half, I didn't think Palace looked like scoring. I know they had a few. I don't think I can't remember how many shots they had on target first half. But they didn't seem that special. They looked there for the taking.
They didn't.
And
I
I thought we would go 2-0 up before the break. I must admit, after that early goal, I thought we need another one to settle our nerves.
But he hasn't got the killer touch though, Moyes, is he, with anything like that?
Well,
what he does is he's quite happy if he. The worst thing that we could have done in that game, I'm convinced, is score early.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, the guy I sit next to, or stand next to, called Mark Murphy, he's a very wise man. Known him for many years, and he said to me, we were the second half was about to start, and he said they score in the first 10 minutes. He said Palace will score in the first 10 minutes of the second half because it always happens. I said, oh yeah, should have a bet on that. He said, well, you watched it, and after 8 minutes, I'm going, well, and literally
we've conceded so many.
They scored. And
many.
Mavropanos. Look, I know you want to blame Moyes for this, but Mavropanos, what a big mistake that is. And I thought, who was it? Alvarez should have done better. Was it Alvarez back there?
It was Alvarez, but I think that tactic that David Moyes deployed, because, like I said to you, the idea has been for us to. This is what has happened, Sean. So the idea has been our outlet has been getting the long ball out to Aguirre. So what we've been doing is we've been dropping Alvarez.
What do you call him? Aguirre.
But he's been dropping.
Do you call him Aguirre? Is his name Aguirre? Because I'm sure
Nathan,
it is Aguirre.
Yeah, but what Alvarez has been doing is dropping deep between the 2 centre backs to split them. So sometimes he's deeper than them, so that we've got a triangle. Because what teams have started doing is pressing us to stop us getting the ball to Aguirre. That's why we was playing that stupid triangle passing at the back, because we was trying to work it to Aguirre so he could launch it long.
Aguirre.
Yeah, but that's what we was trying to do. And that's what. So that
Well,
was
all right.
that was from the training ground.
So
but
it's
it
1-1,
went wrong.
right? And it goes a bit dark, and you think, oh God, we could lose this. But and I'll come to you in a minute, Len.
That's all right.
In the last 10 minutes, I really thought we were going to get the winner. I mean, it was non-stop West Ham. You say it was boring. The expectation, the excitement.
I left on 85 minutes.
Oh, you're joking.
Nick.
Oh,
Shit you
Nicky
not.
boy.
Honestly, I left on 85 minutes with a load of
How
other fans
could you
as well.
leave at that point?
Because you know what? I didn't
It was
even
non-stop
care.
West Ham.
I'm so bored.
You missed the best part of the match, mate, because we had 6 minutes of extra time.
Too late.
You missed 11 minutes of pure entertainment.
Too little, too late.
We can't be jammy every fucking game, Sean.
I know
Morley,
that,
can
but
we?
do you know what? And my other West Ham guy, or I've got 3 West Ham guys. I've got Areola in goal. I've got Kudos. I've got Bowen. Bowen missed an absolute sitter. An absolute sitter. Did you see the replay, Nick?
What, the header?
Right at the end.
Yeah. I saw the replay. The header. It was from a corner, wasn't it?
Was it from a corner?
It was a header straight at the keeper, wasn't it?
I thought it was a bit closer than that. I'm trying to. I thought there was another chance, but I might be wrong.
No. We did. We created a few more chances, but that was a game, between two of the antichrists of football against David Moyes and Roy Hodgson. It was very even. It was an even game. Neither team were enterprising, really.
Yeah.
Not really. They had Elise, who looked good. We had Kudus, who looked good. It was quite evenly matched. There was a
game of mistakes, though. Again, if
there was a serious lack of intensity from both teams.
And then I often say it's a game of inches and small margins. And
millimeters in your case, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have gone the other way. He's right. It's very small margins. Len, let's talk to you. 55% possession at home for Mr. Moyes.
Right.
45 for the Eagles. 9 shots for West Ham. 3 of them on target. Palace, the Eagles had 9 shots as well, with only 2 on target. We had 2 corners. They had 3. West Ham fouled 17 times. Dirty West Ham to Palace's 7. I know you didn't come.
You're right.
But you watched it, though. After all this build-up, I go, I carried on painting. Did you watch right to the end?
I watched it, but it's actually getting a little bit like you're drifting off.
Oh,
you're not taking anything in.
There's
There's nothing.
age where you had a little sleep, do you?
Well, I don't tend to. No, not just go into a bit of a trance, just to be bored into a little bit of a trance. Because I seem to remember the other games of the weekend more than ours. That can't be right. Can it?
It shouldn't be, no.
I mean, you said about them 3 shots on goal. I remember Kudus' shot. I'm trying to think what the other 2 were. Can anyone think?
Do you know what?
Can you?
No,
Didn't
really.
Mavropanos? Mavropanos had a shot on goal.
Did he?
Yeah. Whether it was on target or
I
not.
can't remember that.
Mavropanos did.
I think one of the best chances of the game was, and it was good, and that was when Paqueta was moved central. Do you remember he played that lovely pass through to Emerson? It was from the central area. He's played a lovely ball through to Emerson, who's come through on the left-hand side, and he was at full stretch. He couldn't do anything with it, but that was a good passage of play. There was moments. We've got great individual players, haven't we? Great individual players.
Yeah, and look, we're going to really miss Kudus when he goes off for the African nations because he's getting stronger and stronger by every game.
He's a strong boy.
He's a great player.
Have you heard the noise? You know the noise that it makes? Like when he chest controls a ball? It's like a doof.
Oh, is it?
He's
no,
so solid, honestly.
No.
When you consider he's such quite a small guy, he's half powerful. He really is strong. You ain't knocking him off the ball. He's a really good
Unlike Paquetá.
No, Paquetá is strong, but
Paquetá annoyed the hell out of me. He really does. He had a poor game.
Cool, not much.
And he just goes down. I mean, we can all see he's just going down like a sack of suds. And you're going, get up. No, you're not fooling anyone. You're not fooling the ref. You're not fooling 62,000 people, right? 50,000 people. I thought he could have got booked for diving a few times.
He looks like he doesn't want to be there now, Sean.
I don't know, but there's something going on with him because Kudos is a star and he's not. Anyway, Len, come
Hello.
on, give us your tactical insight to the game.
Well, funny enough, you talk about tactical insight. I've already said I don't know much about it, but the last 3 games, well, let's be honest. If you look at the Wednesday night game and the game last weekend, they were identical. The Burnley game, and we won it, and the same kind of process went on Sunday. He doesn't. The first time the ball came in from wide, we scored, and then after that, he didn't really try and do that again. There was no crosses put in. He kind of sacrifices wingers or wide players to sort of play everything, kind of keep everything tight, really. What's the word? He sets up to sort of he sets them up. They don't really break the ranks. It's just eventually I'm glad we got to go early. We didn't try to push on.
Respect the point.
Do you know what?
Ben? Respect the point.
No, because I'm just about to say. Well, fine, but listen, you got to take your chances. Palace offered nothing. Actually, and nor did the other team in the week. They offered nothing either. And nor did last week. They offered. Last 3 games, the opposition have offered nothing. And we struggled. Because
Len, do you feel like there's a level of arrogance creeping in with Moyes where it's worked now for 4 games? I ain't got to do anything until the last 10 minutes. And I'll make it at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like he tried to do it again.
I just think there's a level of arrogance to the fact that he's thinking himself, I'm not going to get renewed. This is what I am. This is what makes me work. I'm going to keep doing it. And I think it could actually be detrimental to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a little hum on your microphone, by the way, tonight.
Who's one?
Is it?
Len's. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, you muted there, did you?
No.
It went away. There was a hum.
Well, I can hear a hum now.
Well, I'll mute mine. Look, hang on.
How about that?
No, the hum's still there.
Oh, it must be me. I don't know why
It's not usual. But anyway, we apologise for the hum. Humdrum.
But Sean, just to pick up on what you said earlier on, where you said Mavropanos cost us the points. Now, look, he did because he made a mistake which led to a goal.
Yeah.
But there were 35 minutes left in that game where David Moyes had the likes of Cornet. He could have made
I'm
more
going to
changes.
criticise Moyes.
His in-game
he
management
should have
was
made. Who did he bring on? He brought on Fornals.
Yeah.
He should have brought on Mombama or someone. I don't know. He just didn't. He just left it too late. Cornet, yeah. He just seemed to leave the whole substitution in a game that was there to be won. He takes off Alvarez and brings on Fornals, and I was just thinking, well, why is that a winning? You know, it was very obvious that Palace were there for the draw. You know, it fell right into there. They were happy. You know, they were time wasting after they scored. They were going, yeah, they'd lost 4 in a row. So you just thinking they were happy with the draw, and you know, I was getting frustrated with the ref that he wasn't booking the goalkeeper for wasting time. But look, we didn't take our chances and we didn't deserve it. Respect the point. We're still top 10 and we're still in all the cups, right? All 3 cups. I'm an optimist, Nick. So that's the way I look at it. We're in 3 cups. We can still finish at 7th and get Europa Conference League. So, you know, or even Europa League again without winning any of the 3 cups. So, you know.
It's all there to play for.
It's all there to play for.
It is.
Let's move on a little bit. Well, actually, before we do that, you've got a little clip, haven't you, Nick? Because we talked about this, and I'd missed this. David Moyes apparently, make your own mind up, allegedly blaming the atmosphere at the London Stadium for the loss.
Yes. See if I can get this working again. Ready?
Crystal Palace. A little bit mixed. I'm disappointed we didn't maybe take all 3 points, but in the same breath, you know, we're just not quite getting it on Sunday at 2 o'clock here at the stadium. You know, we're finding it really hard to probably build up a good enough atmosphere. Maybe it's we're not playing well enough, or you know, just within the stadium. But overall, look, we got a goal in front. We scored a really good goal.
Sorry, that's where the clip ends.
Yeah, but do you know what? He does go on one of the other clips because I published on Twitter the BBC interview, it's 2.5 minutes, and the Sky one, which is about 3.5 minutes. And he does say, and I'll agree, and hopefully you two agree. What's
Right.
this 2 o'clock Sunday kickoff about? What the hell is that about?
It's just
I don't like it.
It's always somebody else's
I
fault. though, Sean,
don't
isn't
like.
it?
Yeah, I
Come
know
on.
that, but he did say maybe we did. Listen to the words, right? Maybe we didn't play well enough. He didn't just blame the crowd. Maybe it's the atmosphere. But you know what? It was.
He didn't say anything really. He just
It's the
guff,
2 o'clock.
as
I
AI
hate
Sean
the
puts
2 o'clock Sunday. It is guff. I hate the 2 o'clock Sunday kickoff.
Well, after you haven't won or before?
No, I just don't like it. I was supposed to be on Talk TV, thank God, with Mark Saggers, but it was my stepdaughter's 14th birthday, so we went to a Mexican restaurant in Cheam in Surrey instead of talking to Mark Saggers about bollocks. I'm
Very
glad,
nice.
really, because...
Very nice indeed.
Anyway,
nice.
news time before we go to question time.
Go on.
London Stadium. Daily
Oh,
Mail
God.
said we had informal talks to increase capacity to 68,013.
Don't fill it up now.
A bullshit. We have got rights to go to 60. There are 68,013 seats, right? After we did the West Stand extension, right? There is a clause in there saying that we will pay more money, £200,000. It will take us to over £4 million a year, not 2.5, like some papers like to say we pay in rent. And it would take us 68 and 13, right? And it would make us the second biggest in the land after Old Trafford. However, one, we haven't had informal talks. We don't need them. Two, we haven't applied for planning permission. We need to build more toilets, more catering. We haven't had that conversation. We need a license to spectator license from Newham Council. We haven't asked for that. Why is this story in the Daily Mail? Can anyone answer?
No.
No idea.
Well, it's in the Daily Mail because a
Probably come
certain
from one of your tweets, probably.
Rothschilds
Right.
have put it in their prospectus to sell gold family shares.
Ah, makes sense.
Yeah. So being hawked around the investment. Oh, if you want to buy a 10% share of West Ham, by the way, we've got a future permission to go to 68,013. So that's why it's a sales pitch from Rothschilds to sell the gold or some of the gold family shares. The same, by the way, can be said of the naming rights, because if you read certain papers, you would believe that naming rights are going to Allianz and it's a done deal. Well, again, sorry to spoil the illusion, but this is a story planted by the owners, London.
Is that not true?
It's
would
not
be a shame.
true.
That would be
It's
bad.
not
actually.
true.
Oh, right, okay.
It is true they're interested, but it's not true.
Yeah.
It's about to happen because West Ham have got the right of veto and have to sign off on it. West Ham have not yet, so it's not imminent. The reason this was leaked into the media by the stadium owners, London Legacy Development Corporation, LLDC, is they're about to have a London Assembly meeting where they're going to be grilled by the London Assembly members, including one, Susan Hall. Who is Susan Hall, I hear you say?
She's running for mayor.
She's running for mayor. And she's
Mayor! For you movie buffs.
Right. She has got a bee in a bonnet. She doesn't like West Ham or football, but she's got a bee in a bonnet about naming rights. And she's been taking...
She'll get on well with Moyes then if you don't like West Ham or football.
She's been getting on at Lynn Gardner, the CEO of LLDC, to sell the bloody naming rights because it's a fiasco. So they've leaked it to show ahead of this London Assembly, which is going to be in the next week, that they're doing something about it. But my sources at the club go, yep, Allianz are interested. They're only interested in the football. They could be a future sponsor of the shirts. However, it's not a done deal yet, and West Ham have the right of veto. West Ham, by the way, believe in their contract. It's not £4 million a year, but they get a 50% split after the first $4 million of the contract.
Yeah.
So there you go. More legacy, more controversy, more legal fights over who gets the money from the naming rights. So this one will go on and on. The last story about West Ham, well, not last story, but before we move on to players and Moyes, is when we played in Europe, everyone was going, ooh, what's this new sponsor? BW Scores. I'm sure you know the answer.
It's a loophole.
It's a loophole
Yeah.
because, and then Betway are not the only people to do this. They've created a free website that gives, guess what? It gives out sports scores around the world free of charge. Just happened to be sponsored by Betway, owned by Betway, and got Betway betting apps all over it. But because it's not actually betting and it doesn't say Betway, they're allowed to put it on. We didn't get paid any more money. It's part of Betway's deal, but it's just a loophole to say, well, it's not a gambling company. It's a results company.
They took that long to think of that, then, have
Yeah,
they?
I know.
God.
Fucking hell.
I think they got the idea of somewhere else because I forget who it has got a scores app like that. And it's not BW Scores, it's somewhere else. It's anyway. Anywho, two other stories. Well, your mate.
Sean, before you move on from that,
Yeah,
you
go
know
on.
the story around Rothschilds, obviously hawking out the shares for the
Yeah.
Gold family, for Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Why is
Jacqueline,
that?
not Jacqueline.
Oh, sorry, not
Vanessa.
Jacqueline. Yes, I know.
passed away.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? Because
Well-
surely has there been a disagreement over price? Because
No.
surely she'd be looking to sell to either Gold or
Very glad you asked me that, Nick.
Sullivan or Kretinsky.
So the interesting thing is, so they have it's called a put option. I think it's I think it's called a put option, where both Kretinsky. Well, first David Sullivan had first refusal as the largest shareholder, then Kretinsky, then Trip Smith of any shares, and they were approached, but for whatever reason, none of them want to change the status quo and take the extra shares. Now, it should be said, out of the 25%, the Gold family are not looking to sell. It's going to be somewhere between 8 and 10%. And there is a reason for that, right? Number one, death duties are due, right? So you have got some inheritance tax. But for whatever reason, 8% of West Ham shares were owned in a family trust or two family trusts. And the other 17% were held at the time of his death in David Gold's own name, right? That means it's due for inheritance tax, as it should be, any assets.
Yeah.
But there's a rule in inheritance tax, which is if it's a family-owned company and the family hold on to it for a certain number of years, you don't have to pay inheritance tax. So the problem is if they sold all of 25%, not only would they have to pay capital gains tax on whatever 20% of whatever he bought the shares originally, they would have to pay another 40% inheritance tax. But my understanding is the amount in the shares in the trust, in family trusts that have been in the family trust for some time, 8%, can be sold, and that money raised will help pay off the debts for the estate, any inheritance tax. So that was a long-winded way of saying that.
Fair enough.
However, my understanding is none of the others want to increase their shareholding, and they're happy, and this will tell you a lot, they're happy to get a new investor in. So it shows you they want to, and David Sullivan's always said that, they want to share the investment. This idea that
It's going to become a consortium. We're going to have the world's biggest bloody directors
it
box,
is,
haven't we?
and this idea that Kretinsky wants to take over is so far-fetched. Now, does Kretinsky want one day for a big, billionaire to come in and double his money? Absolutely. Does Trip Smith want that? Yes. Would the Gold family stand in the way? Probably not. Would Sullivan stand in the way? Probably not. But that's where they get their payday, when West Ham is valued for £1 billion or more, and they all double their money.
Right. Are the shares out of probate yet?
No. Well, they're in They are in. Yes. Gold shares are out of probate. I think that came in March. Jacqueline's, I don't know, are out of probate.
Right. Okay.
There was a will for Gold. Jacqueline's a bit. I haven't read whether they're out of probate, but there still is this tax issue on inheritance tax and capital gains tax. But I expect, cut long story short, I expect to see a new shareholder that will come in with about 8%. That's what I expect to see, maybe 10. Anywho, in the meantime, David Sullivan is selling one of his houses. If you've seen this in Portland Place for £80 million.
I thought you were going to say kidney then. When you said he was going to sell something.
But I think his kidney would be worth £80 million.
Well, he bought it. I think he bought it for 27, and he spent £50 million doing it up. So Is he only selling it for £3 million gain? I don't know. That seems to be.
Is he selling it to
It
buy
was
some
the
shares?
place. Did you see the King's speech? The film.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
it's where they filmed that in there. They used to have sex parties in that, and not before Sullivan owned it. They used to have
Yeah,
sex
cool. So
parties.
that's that's how he knows of the property. That's why I bought it. Fuck's sake. I know the place.
21 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, and 9 reception rooms. A snip at 80 million in Marylebone. Kurt Zuma, as you've probably heard by now, I was told just before the game by the club that he'd had personal family issues. They wouldn't say what it was at the time, but it's now been revealed today that armed robbers broke into his Billericay home, £3 million home. I think it's gated, as I remember, and stole £100,000 of jewellery and watches.
Cat burglars?
Well, that's really not nice, is it? Come on, Nick. That's a bit below the belt.
He was in the home as well, wasn't he?
He was with his family, so he was a bit shaken up. And Essex police stayed with him.
He's a big guy, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. But if they're armed, right, what are you going to do with your family? You're going to,
I didn't know. So they were armed. It was gated, and they went in there, and he was in there.
He was in there, yeah.
Well, and then
I don't know if
stick up.
I don't know if they were confronted or whether he disturbed them and they
It's
ran
a fucking
off.
big house if you don't fucking see in there, isn't it?
I think it is a big house from what I've seen. It's a very posh little village just off Billericay, if I've got the right one. But
that makes it even more insecure when it's gated, because once people are in, they can almost do what they want to a degree.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're targeting footballers. Maybe they thought he'd be away on a Saturday. I thought players stayed at a hotel before a home game. Someone told me that.
I mean, they did used to.
The players stayed together in like Stratford in a hotel.
Well, it used to be Wolfham Abbey, didn't it?
Yeah.
The Marriott, wasn't it?
Yeah, or the Swift, wasn't it? Might be a Marriott now, but I think it was the Swift at the time. The Swift Hotel. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on
Obviously,
that.
Bowen's back. The others are back. No more sickness. Antonio's on the men. Probably another couple of weeks before we see Antonio. We've missed Antonio, I think.
Not as much as he's missed a goal.
Bit on Moyes before we go to a little bit exclusive. I'm told David Moyes, no decision will be made before January on a renewal.
Well,
Nick.
So when you say no decision, what does that mean? Does that mean that
he won't be offered a new contract over between now and January? That is not on the table.
But is this decision just for if he gets offered a new contract, or is it no?
Yes.
We've run its course. We're going to let you go.
He's not going to be sacked in that period either, right? He's not going to be sacked.
Could he be sacked post January?
Well, I think the powers that be say, let's see how the season goes on. What they've said is, at some point, and I think I've told you this before, that David Sullivan and David Moyes will sit down and have a chat about what each other wants next season, and there will be a frank chat on what do you want, Moyes? What do you want? What do the club?
Does it matter what Moyes wants?
My God, yeah. What does it matter what he wants?
And if they can't agree, I think they just shake hands and go, well, that's that. And if they can agree, but it will depend on what we are. As I've said, I think. Where are we with the cup competitions, the free cup competitions? Where are we in the league? And I'm not saying that they're going to wait to the summer until after the season's finished, but I think we're talking spring before those two sit down. And
do you know what my prediction would be if he got? Because we're not going to win a cup this year, right, Sean? I know we're in them all, but we're not going to. If they offered him a new contract in January and he got a new contract extension, you would see a massive, massive fall off of season ticket holders next year.
I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're come to talk to me in spring again. But I've been told that no decisions will be made, even though he has got the biggest win percentage of any manager beyond the caretaker manager in history. I don't know if I said that. And the biggest points per game of any manager in West Ham history. Did I mention that?
Yes.
I don't think he'd be offered a contract anytime soon. But equally, I don't think he'd be sacked anytime soon. So we're in limbo.
I think it will change, as you know from Sullivan. It will change week to week. I mean, we know he leaked the story after Brentford, to TalkSport, and then we win a couple of games, and then he's trying to do reversals. He's trying to sort of reverse the story, because I'm not being funny. I'm not, as you know, I'm not a Moyes fan, but what he did was ridiculous. You know, where a guy who's already struggling, if you're gonna keep him for the rest of this season, surely you want to try and make the best out of it. To come out and leak that story can only do further damage and further hinder his ability to control these players who are probably going to be thinking. Because John made a good point yesterday, and I think you can see it in the stadium now. Do you know what? I think we're all on gardening leave. I think we are. It's like we're all on gardening leave. We're just waiting for the next phase because this just feels like we're just going through the motions now. The players look like they're doing that on the pitch. There's no atmosphere in the stadium. There's apathy.
Yeah, the atmosphere
everywhere.
ain't been great, I must admit.
But there's apathy.
But you know
everywhere.
what?
And
I've
Sullivan
always
has
said
not
this.
helped that. He hasn't. He's not helped it.
The king is dead. Long live the king. I can't control who's in charge, and I will support whichever manager's in charge that our board decide who are the right people to be in charge.
Because you're an arse licker, that's why.
Yeah, not for me.
Okay, last bit of news, and then we go to predictions, and then I think we'll go to another episode for question time.
Oh, right.
A little bit of an exclusive, which means you've got to wait, Nick, before you run this, right? 'Cause, we've got to let listen.
Don't get your hopes up, Nick, anyway.
I've just scheduled the show as we're
Pablo
talking.
Fornals has signed a contract extension. Now, when I say he signed it, okay, so when he signed his original contract, there was a year option. What I don't know is, was the option exercised unilaterally by the club, or did he have a say in it? Because it's a similar situation to Ben Johnson, where Ben Johnson obviously wants to leave, but his option was exercised. So it could be his 1 year option was exercised by the club unilaterally, or it could be it was bilaterally, and it was consented by Pablo Fornals. But either way, I think it's good news, and I think it gives us a little bit longer to see whether we can persuade Pablo Fornals to stay, even if Nick, there's a different manager next season, of course.
Well, if there's a different manager next season, then I think that's going to relieve an awful lot of issues. I mean, that's why I think, Lem, would you not say, like, this year, if say you get to February and you're in no risk, say you, I don't know, you might have bailed out of the cups, you might be out of the Europa, out of the last 16. You might be, you're not in cups anymore. You're not going to do anything in the league. At that point, it's got to be the perfect time to bring a new manager in, because what they've got is they've got the world's longest pre-season going into the pre-season as well, and then you might run the risk of a lot of players that are falling disenchanted with Moyes, that we know that there are. You can kind of repair some of that damage and maybe get them to commit if you get the right guy.
Renew their season ticket.
Yeah.
Really, that would be the way that they're thinking. If they've got someone lined up, I agree. I think they should. If they're not going to get, they've got someone lined up and they don't want to keep him.
Yeah.
Yes, they should.
Which
is exactly what happened under Allardyce, and they didn't do it, and it was just wasted the fans' life.
Didn't they do this with Allardyce in the last Allardyce season? He was doing really well at the start of the season, wasn't he? And then Sullivan released a story that he's not going to be renewed at the end of the year.
Yeah, won one game after that.
Yeah, and it fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
So he hasn't even learned from previous mistakes, Sullivan.
Well, I don't think that. Why would he tell him he was going early? And that's the other thing. But anyway, anywho, I'm sure we're going to be asked a few questions on this on question time if you're staying, Nick. And we're going to do predictions before saying. You can do a quick plug for your YouTube channel. Predictions. We've got 2 games. One on Thursday against Spurs, dirty Spurs away, and then Sunday against Fulham away. So 2 away games, both London derbies. I'm not going to either, because I didn't get lucky in the ballot. We'll start with you as the guest, Nick. What's your prediction? Spurs away, Fulham away.
I'm going to go a little bit mental on this one. We're playing against Spurs, who logic says they're going to batter us with the way that we've been playing, but I think the way that they play could suit us if we're on our game. If we can get the players motivated and we're on our game, the counter-attacking game could suit Spurs' high line that they play, and we could get behind them if we got the players in there.
But we
could nick it. We could nick it 2-1.
2-1. And then Fulham at the Craven Cottage.
Fulham, I think we'll lose.
By what?
I'll go 2-1 again.
Okay.
Fulham.
All right. Len, Spurs away.
I don't think our defence is playing well enough to even think about getting a win at Tottenham.
Okay.
But I'm going to go for a 1-0.
Okay. And Fulham?
Again, I think I might go for 1-0.
Okay.
Exactly the same circumstance.
Well, I'm going to be really simple and go 1-0.
1-0, 1-0. Of course you
are. Yeah, because that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to win our own Super Six, which, of course, John's already won. So what's the
Yeah,
at least
he nailed
at least,
the result of the game.
At least he gets two. He can't even score at because he's not here. He's at Butlins. Right. Do your quick plug, Nick. Are you joining us for the next episode for question time?
He has to because they've asked him questions.
Oh, they've asked me questions. Oh, well, I'm going to have to then. It'd be very rude
Yeah.
of me not to.
Okay.
Yes. Look, Nick. I'm Nick. We run a YouTube channel from Claret and Booze. Yeah, come and look us up if you're not irritated by my tone. Come and have a little look. It's all West Ham centric. So.
And they've got some non-crazy people.
I will say
they've got
if you love
non-crazy
David-
people that talk some sense on your
Yeah.
Oh.
haven't they?
If you-
Gary.
I would say it's the most entertaining YouTube channel.
Who do you have?
about.
You have Gary and.
We got Gary.
John?
Gary's my brother. We got John, my mate, and we
I
got
thought
Nicky
he left.
as well.
Did he come back again?
Who's a new addition. And
Who is?
look, we do phone-in shows as well called Talk Hammers. So we open up the phone lines. People can phone in on a Sunday night. So yeah.
Where's your
it's a bit
female
different.
quota in all this? You know.
Yeah, we haven't ticked that box yet.
Excellent.
Have we ever had a female on this
No,
podcast?
we should tick that box. We should get our pronouns. I've been Sean, Nick has been,
Nick.
and Len has been.
Privately coughing.
Okay, come on, you irons.
Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast. Bobby Moore. More than just a podcast.